My fiancée, Seraphina, was revealed to be the long-lost heiress of a city's wealthiest tycoon. Everyone around me whispered that I was about to ride her coattails to the top, a pauper suddenly elevated by his wife's fortune. But as I busied myself with solitary wedding preparations, a chilling truth unfurled. Seraphina was orchestrating a strategic alliance, a business merger disguised as a fairy tale wedding amongst the elite. The day we were meant to capture our love in photographs, Seraphina vanished. Her closest confidant posted a celebratory snapshot online. Seraphina, resplendent in a couture gown, was arm in arm with another man. The caption read, "Finally indulging in my bestie's engagement cake." I tapped like on the post, a hollow gesture. Moments later, Seraphina's call pierced the silence, her voice laced with thinly veiled panic. "Ethan, don't misunderstand. Father's making me go through the motions. It's not a real engagement. I'm only marrying you. You have to believe me." I cut her off, the words tasting like ash. "It's all right. Real or not, it doesn't matter. I'm not marrying you." 3 days drifted by before Seraphina returned home, or rather, our home, the one I'd painstakingly furnished with our shared dreams. She slipped off her shoes in the hallway with practiced ease, sinking onto the sofa as if nothing had shifted in the tectonic plates of our lives. Pointing a manicured finger at her legs, she drawled, exhausted, "Ethan, give me a massage, would you?" I remained at the small kitchen table, the steam from my instant noodles curling around my face. Without looking up, I said flatly, "Eating. No time." Perhaps sensing the glacial shift in my demeanor, Seraphina arose and approached me. Her eyes, once sparkling with shared secrets, now held a calculating glint. "Just that?" she scoffed, gesturing at the humble bowl. "Why don't we go out?" My treat. I glanced at the styrofoam container in my hands, then back up at her, dressed in clothes that likely cost more than my monthly rent. "No, thank you. Noodles are fine. Someone like me doesn't deserve anything fancier." Seraphina's brow furrowed, her gaze condescending as she loomed over me. "Ethan, what's with the passive-aggressive act? I explained everything, didn't I?" "Wasn't being passive-aggressive. Just stating facts." Finishing my meager meal, I carried the bowl to the sink. The clatter of the stainless steel fork against the cheap ceramic echoed in the strained silence. "See? Can't even afford the cup noodles, let alone the bowl kind." A flicker of guilt, fleeting as a hummingbird's wing, crossed Seraphina's face. "Ethan, I know you've been working hard. But this is for our future too, you know? Oh, and I brought you a gift." She presented a meticulously wrapped box, revealing a watch nestled within. Its price tag was undoubtedly hefty. "I know you've always wanted one like this. Thought it would cheer you up." A confident smile bloomed on her face, the kind that assumed gratitude, even subservience. She expected me to be overwhelmed, to shower her with effusive thanks. And perhaps I would have been, if not for the subtly engraved initials on the watch face. JG. Julian Grace, the man she was betrothed to. The last ember of hope within me extinguished. A self-deprecating smile tugged at my lips. I handed the watch back. "Seraphina, I don't think this belongs to me." Then, the words that had been forming in the shadowed corners of my mind finally took shape, solid and irreversible. "Seraphina, we should break up." Seraphina's initial reaction was indignation, a fiery retort ready to erupt. But her gaze snagged on the watch face, and the words died in her throat. "No, Ethan, I must have grabbed the wrong one." Her voice wavered, unconvincing. I remained silent, turning towards the bedroom. I emerged moments later, dragging 2 suitcases. "Here, your clothes are packed. Not sure what else you want. You can sort through the rest. I'm going to work." Panic flashed in Seraphina's eyes. She seized my arm, her grip surprisingly tight. "What do you mean? Are you still angry? Is it wrong for me to embrace my family?" I was devoid of answers, hollowed out. Without a word, I turned and left. Reaching the restaurant, I gave my staff a day off, locked the doors, and slumped into a chair amidst the lingering scent of charcoal and spices. Alone, I started grilling skewers and cracking open beers. Seraphina and I were practically intertwined vines, grown together since childhood. We'd navigated school, work, and even quitting our jobs in tandem. She'd been the catalyst for this venture, this barbecue restaurant. "Start something for yourself," she'd urged. And I had, diving in headfirst, fueled by her belief. For 3 years, this place had been my lifeblood. Open from 4 in the afternoon until 4 in the morning, 1,000 sleepless nights, not a single day off. All for her, for our shared dream of a home. Seraphina had been equally driven then. Discontent with her meager office salary, she'd become a shoe salesperson, enduring long shifts on her feet, kneeling to fit shoes, never a complaint. Every evening, she'd kick off her heels at the door, collapsing onto the sofa, her voice laced with playful exhaustion. "Ethan, I'm so tired." Whatever I was doing, I'd drop it instantly, massaging her aching feet, soothing her weary legs. On her rare days off, she'd playfully tease me about dinner. "Beef stew tonight, or maybe chicken and mushrooms." Then, with a flourish, she'd present a steaming bowl of instant noodles, garnished with a sausage and 2 eggs. We'd lived frugally, every penny meticulously saved for our future, yet we hadn't felt deprived. Perhaps it was the sweetness between us, a sugary coating that masked the bitterness of our lean life. Until 3 months ago, when a stranger appeared, claiming Seraphina was the lost daughter of a city's wealthiest family. Our carefully constructed world fractured. Seraphina was effortlessly gifted a sprawling villa, while I was still 8,000 short of the down payment on a modest 2-bedroom apartment. So, no, I couldn't fault her, not really. The chili flakes on the skewers stung, bringing tears to my eyes. Finishing the last swig of beer, I tilted my head back and stepped out into the night. 4 a.m. Seraphina was still there. She hadn't gone to the bedroom, but lay curled on the living room sofa, fully dressed. She used to wait up for me like this. And I, in turn, would tiptoe to her side, gently lifting her into our bed. The alcohol still clouded my head. I shook it, trying to banish the memories. Barely settled into sleep, a frantic banging on the bedroom door jolted me awake. "Ethan, come quick." "Oh." Instinctively, I flung open the door, pulling her inside. "What is it? What's wrong?" Seraphina stood there, drenched, leaning against the doorframe, her face contorted in irritation. "I told you to fix that faucet. And now look, soaked to the bone. This coat can't get wet, you know that?" "Ugh, this is infuriating." I shut off the sputtering faucet, my chest constricting, a pain so sharp it stole my breath. I crouched down, struggling to regain my footing, before finally standing. "Expensive, is it?" "What?" "The coat. It's expensive, right?" Seraphina finally snapped, her voice rising to a shriek. "Ethan, who are you giving that deadpan face to? I know you're upset, but I have my reasons. It's not like I'm not marrying you anymore. Can't you just be a little understanding? I know what this is about. It's your male ego, isn't it? Now that I'm beautiful and rich, you feel inadequate, don't you? Is that it? I'm not looking down on you. So why are you giving me the cold shoulder?" I stared at Seraphina's face, searching for a flicker of recognition, a trace of the girl I knew. But she was a stranger. Just 3 months. And she'd become someone else entirely. I opened my mouth, but no sound emerged. My throat was constricted, air catching in my lungs. I said, "We're breaking up. You're free to choose whatever you want." Seraphina, relentless, continued her tirade. "You men are all the same. Can't stand to see a woman with money and power. If you're useless, whose fault is that? I have a chance at a life of luxury, and you want to hold me back, force me to rot in a rented apartment eating instant noodles forever? Ethan, you're so selfish." The shrill ring of her phone sliced through her rant. Seraphina answered, her voice instantly transforming into a saccharine sweetness. "Daddy, are you home for dinner? Okay, I'll be right there. Bye-bye." Slipping into her stilettos, she paused at the door, glancing back at me, a final, condescending pronouncement. "Ethan, I think we need some time apart to cool down. You need to reflect on your behavior. Stop being so unreasonable." Her words struck me like a thunderbolt, a brutal awakening. I'd imagined myself a noble martyr, sacrificing love for her happiness. But in her eyes, I was nothing more than a clingy, pathetic nuisance. I surrendered the lease on the apartment, plastered a "for sale" sign on the restaurant door, and stopped opening for business. Days bled into weeks, spent sleeping in the empty restaurant, listlessly scrolling through job boards. Then a call came from an unfamiliar number. I braced myself for another rejection from a faceless HR department. Instead, it was Caleb, an old friend, almost a ghost from my past. Caleb had been my roommate in college, my confidant. We'd even started our careers at the same company. While I'd floundered in the years since my resignation, Caleb had thrived, now helming his own successful firm. Announcing my name at reception, I was ushered into Caleb's office. He stood by the panoramic window, a silhouette against the cityscape, a portrait of success. I tugged at the drawstring of my worn hoodie, feeling acutely out of place. Caleb. He turned, enveloping me in a hearty embrace. Ethan. Long time no see. He saw the weariness etched on my face, the shadow of loss in my eyes. Without probing, he offered me a substantial position within his company. I stammered, hesitant, overwhelmed. He stopped me with a hand on my shoulder. I know your capabilities, Ethan. I trust your integrity. This isn't charity, it's because I need you. So, brother, will you help me out? I couldn't refuse. Days later, Caleb invited me to an industry conference. After a few glasses of wine, I wandered off course, ending up on the wrong floor. And there she was, Seraphina. The ballroom was a symphony of extravagance, draped in crystal and gold. Seraphina, adorned in a flowing gown and a glittering tiara, stood at the epicenter, bathed in the adoration of the assembled elite. It dawned on me. It was her birthday. Her eyes landed on me, a flicker of surprise, then something akin to panic. Pulling me aside, her eyes darted nervously around, her voice a hushed urgency. Didn't I say we needed space? What are you doing here? I'll come see you in a few days, okay? Just go now. This isn't your scene. Julian was approaching. Seraphina's anxiety escalated, her whispers becoming frantic pleas for me to leave. A strange wave of revulsion washed over me. I smiled, a mischievous glint in my eye, leaning close to her ear, my voice a low murmur. Seraphina, what are you so afraid of? Before she could retort, I extended my hand towards Julian. Hello, Julian. Ethan, Seraphina's boyfriend. Boyfriend? Julian's eyebrow arched, a sardonic glance at Seraphina. How quaint. I'm Seraphina's fiancé. Seraphina's face paled, then quickly regained its composure. Ethan, we've broken up. Why are you still stalking me? She batted her eyelashes at me, a silent plea for cooperation. When I remained impassive, she stepped closer to Julian, looping her arm through his. Julian, don't misunderstand. Ethan and I are over. He's just persistent, clinging to the hope of reconciliation. Julian adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, his gaze coolly assessing me. Oh, is that so, Mr. Ethan? No. Yes. Seraphina and I spoke in unison. Furious, Seraphina's hand flashed out, a sharp crack echoing through the suddenly silent room. The sting of the slap burned across my cheek, every eye in the ballroom now fixed on us. Are you insane? She hissed. Julian placed a possessive hand on Seraphina's arm, his smile oily. Mr. Ethan, forgive us, the ceremony is about to begin. Perhaps we can continue this discussion later? He leaned down, whispering something in Seraphina's ear. Her forced smile returned, and she linked arms with Julian, gliding towards the waiting crowd. The MC's voice droned on, a stream of empty platitudes. Julian, hand in hand with Seraphina, ascended the stage, a grotesque parody of a wedding. Amidst the forced cheers, Julian and Seraphina leaned in for a staged kiss. I stood rooted to the spot, a hollow ache in my chest, yet joining the perfunctory applause. I slipped out before the charade concluded. As I settled into a taxi, ready to escape, Seraphina burst through the doors, her voice desperate. Ethan, please listen. I have to explain. Ignoring her, I rolled up the window. Driver, please. Seraphina's figure receded in the rearview mirror, shrinking with each passing moment, our distance stretching into an unbridgeable chasm. 3 months later, I was thriving at my new job, my once fractured sleep schedule finally restored. Even the cleaning lady commented on my transformation. You used to look like a ghost, all gloom and doom. Now, you've got life in your hair again. The barbecue restaurant sold. I'd finally scraped together the down payment for a small apartment. Barely settled in, Seraphina appeared on my doorstep. She was even more polished, more refined. Her presence in my humble apartment felt jarringly out of place. Moving without telling me. Seraphina removed her designer sunglasses, sinking onto my small sofa as if it were a velvet chaise lounge. I stared, taken aback. Why would I tell you? Oh, And does your fiancé know you're here? He's away on business. He's away, so you come to me? What do you take me for? A convenient fallback? Seraphina stood, her towering heels adding inches to her already imposing presence. Looking down at me, her crimson lips curled into a dismissive sneer. What? Are you going to make a fuss? I stepped back, opening the door. Please leave. Her brow furrowed. She rolled her eyes. Ethan, aren't you overreacting? I stared at her, genuinely confused. Overreacting? So, you think this is all some dramatic performance? Her scornful gaze confirmed it. Isn't it obvious? Putting on this indifferent act, but you're terrified, aren't you? Terrified I'll really leave you. So, you're trying to provoke me, make me pay more attention to you, right? I almost laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. Or had I gone wrong for her to harbor such delusions? Seraphina, are you really that self-absorbed? When I said we were over, I meant it. Truly over. Seraphina, I don't love you anymore. Not anymore. Lost in her own narrative, she didn't hear a word. You don't love me anymore? Impossible. I used to be nothing, poor and plain, and you were madly in love with me. Now I have money, everything, and you're saying you don't love me? Ethan, who are you trying to fool? You can't awaken someone who is pretending to sleep. Just as I could never penetrate the fortress of Seraphina's self-constructed reality. Fine, let's pretend I'm still in love with you. What then? If I asked you to break off your engagement with Julian, come back to me, would you? Seraphina's face hardened, her eyes turning glacial. I knew it. Ethan, can't you just be reasonable? I was genuinely amused. Seraphina, are you all right? What exactly do you expect me to do? Seraphina reached out, her hand hovering near my face. I flinched back, dodging her touch. Her hand faltered, hanging in the air for a long moment before she lowered it. Ethan, why do you always have to be so extreme? I've told you, Julian and I, it's just a business arrangement. I don't love him. Once I get what I need, I'll leave him. Don't you understand? You're the one I truly love. I was stunned by the audacity of her logic, shaking my head in disbelief. I honestly don't understand. Seraphina, whether you leave me to chase wealth and power, or abandon fortune to choose me, I wouldn't have blamed you. I might even have admired you. But you want both love and wealth, Seraphina. Is that even possible? Trying to have it all, Seraphina, will only destroy you. Perhaps the sincerity in my voice finally penetrated her self-deception. Seraphina's bravado crumbled. Ethan, I don't have a choice. If I don't do this, I'll lose everything. Tears welled in her eyes, smudging her carefully applied makeup, leaving dark streaks on her cheeks. She lunged forward, attempting to embrace me, but I instinctively recoiled again. Seraphina froze, collapsing onto the sofa, breaking into heart-wrenching sobs. Ethan, can't you even give me a hug? Do you know how difficult things have been for me lately? My resolve wavered. I offered her a tissue, then gently guided her back to the sofa. Tell me what's going on. Seraphina hesitated, then finally, haltingly, the story tumbled out. After Seraphina vanished, the Jiang family had adopted another girl. For years, this adopted daughter had been groomed as the heir apparent. Even with Seraphina's return, the adopted daughter remained, firmly entrenched in the family's affections. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang treated the adopted daughter with a warmth and intimacy they never extended to Seraphina. A chilling realization dawned on Seraphina. She was expendable. It's all Isabel's fault. She's trying to steal everything from me. She's just an adopted child. What right does she have? If I marry Julian, the company inheritance will be mine. It has to be. Ethan, please, just help me one last time. Help me explain things to Julian. He's been distant ever since he saw you at the party. I'm afraid it might jeopardize the wedding. Just this once. Then, if you still want to break up, I promise I won't bother you again. I wrestled with my conscience, finally conceding. One last act of misplaced loyalty. The appointed day arrived. Seraphina arrived in a scarlet convertible, a gaudy spectacle amidst the drabness of my old neighborhood. I hunched low in the passenger seat, trying to become invisible under the judging stares. Before entering the opulent mansion, Seraphina turned, her voice a low command. Ethan, remember, whatever I say, just play along, okay? The thought of finally severing ties spurred me forward. I nodded. Okay. But as we stepped inside, a sense of unease prickled my skin. Beyond Julian, The room teemed with people, many faces disturbingly familiar. Friends, or so I had thought, friends we had shared with Seraphina. Now, they were all aligned against me, on her side. Seraphina led me to the center of the room, gesturing for silence. The guest of honor has arrived. Let's give him a warm welcome. Bravo! Cheers erupted, confetti rained down. I felt as if plunged into an icy abyss, my blood turning to ice. Every gaze was laced with amusement, with mockery. My legs threatened to buckle. I couldn't breathe. I was trapped. Julien descended the grand staircase, idly toying with a string of prayer beads. He cast a fleeting glance at me, then quickly averted his gaze. You brought him here just to show me this? Seraphina sidled up to him, fawningly sweet. Darling, haven't you been asking about my relationship with him? I brought him here today to clarify everything. She turned to me, her voice sharp. Ethan, go on. Explain. Seraphina shot me a pointed look, but I remained impassive, my face a mask. Explain what? She rushed towards me, hissing under her breath. Didn't we agree on this? Cooperate. Tell him you refuse to accept the breakup, that you've been harassing me. I drew a shaky breath, fighting back the sting behind my eyes. You said this was just to explain things to Julien privately. What's with all these people? Are they here to watch me make a fool of myself? Seraphina waved a dismissive hand. Why do you care so much? Just say what you need to say, and you can leave. I won't bother you again. When I remained silent, Seraphina's friend, the one from the birthday party, launched into a scathing attack. Ethan, are you even a man? Seraphina has sacrificed so much for you all these years. If you can't give her happiness, shouldn't you at least let someone else? Exactly, Ethan. Seraphina suffered so much with you. Just let her be free, chimed in another. Love doesn't care about who came first. The one who isn't loved is the third party. Ethan, do you want to be the unwanted third wheel? Yet another voice joined the chorus. Seraphina's friends, a pack of social piranhas, tore into me, painting me as the villain, the obstacle in Seraphina's path to happiness. Julien's entourage watched the spectacle with detached amusement, some even pulling out their phones to record the unfolding drama. And Seraphina herself? She stood beside Julien, a spectator, utterly removed, offering no defense, no contradiction to their fabricated narrative. The truth slammed into me with brutal force. This wasn't about clarification, it was a cruel performance, a sport for the wealthy and bored. I was the entertainment, the monkey in their gilded cage. I lunged at the nearest person, the one who had been recording. Snatching the phone from his grasp, I hurled it to the floor, the screen shattering with a sickening crack. He reacted instantly, tackling me. We grappled, a chaotic brawl erupting around us. People piled in, ostensibly to break up the fight, but their intervention felt more like a coordinated assault. When I finally staggered to my feet, my face throbbed, a patchwork of bruises already forming. My lip was split, and bloodshot veins webbed across my eyes, painting a grotesque picture. Enough! I grabbed a chair, hoisting it high above my head. The chair splintered into pieces as I brought it crashing down, the deafening sound silencing the room. You. I pointed at the girl who had led the verbal assault. I remember you. Seraphina's dorm mate. I wonder if you remember, for 4 years of university, I bought breakfast for your entire dorm. Every single day. Seraphina's sacrifices are sacrifices, but mine don't count. She scoffed, muttering dismissively. How much can breakfast cost? My fists clenched, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. Yes, one breakfast doesn't cost much, but for 4 people, for 4 years, how much does it add up to? And do you really think I'm just talking about breakfast? I turned to Seraphina. Her eyes darted away, refusing to meet mine. Seraphina, I told you, I wouldn't stand in your way. Why do you have to humiliate me like this, again and again? Is this how you fit in with them? By tearing me down? But look at their eyes. They look down on me. And Seraphina, they look down on you too. Seraphina straightened her spine, her face flushing crimson. Ethan, don't talk nonsense. You're the one who can't let go, who's been obsessively clinging on. How can you twist it around and make it my fault? Ha ha ha. A hollow laugh escaped my lips, tears mingling with blood trickling down my face, each drop blooming like a macabre flower on the polished floor. Seraphina, don't blame me for what comes next. Seraphina's face paled, her eyes widening with alarm. What are you going to do? I pulled out my phone, pressing play on the recording. A hiss of static, then Seraphina's voice filled the room, clear and damning. I told you, Julian and I, it's just a business arrangement. I don't love him. Once I get what I need, I'll leave him. Don't you understand? You're the one I truly love. Help me explain things to Julian. He's been distant ever since he saw you at the party. I'm afraid it might jeopardize the wedding. Just this once. Then, if you still want to break up, I promise I won't bother you again. Julian subtly detached himself from Seraphina, stepping back, creating a visible distance between them. Miss Jiang. Julian's voice was icily polite. Do you take everyone for fools? Or perhaps you thought I was genuinely smitten with you? Seraphina stood frozen, her mind struggling to catch up. What do you mean? Julian pushed his glasses up his nose, a chilling smile playing on his lips. What I mean is exactly what I said. It's just a business collaboration, after all. We all understand the terms. Why make such a spectacle of it? Mr. Ethan, Julian turned to me, his tone smoothly apologetic. I sincerely apologize. My fiancé has been emotionally volatile lately. You've been subjected to quite a scene. He unclasped his expensive watch, the very one Seraphina had tried to gift me, offering it to me. Look, you're injured. I feel terrible. I hear from Miss Jiang that you admired this watch last time. I have several more. Please, take it as a token of apology. I took the watch, examining the JG engraving on the face. I'm afraid I'm not really a watch person, Mr. Grace. Too cold, too impersonal. I prefer those plastic ones, the kind that light up. Would you like one? I can get you one next time. A ripple of laughter spread through the onlookers, but I ignored them. I handed the watch back to Julian, turning to leave. Wait. Julian gestured for the others to leave, leaving only Seraphina and me with him. While this is just a business arrangement, Miss Jiang is, for now, my fiancée in name. And I don't think any man appreciates being made a cuckold. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Ethan? Now that we are alone, let's be clear. Who exactly do you choose, Miss Jiang? Julian's gaze pinned Seraphina. She lowered her head, silent, seemingly wrestling with a monumental decision. Finally, Seraphina lifted her head, inching closer to Julian. A wave of relief washed over me. Seraphina, I said, the words carrying a sense of finality. From this day forward, let's go our separate ways and wish each other well. Julian patted Seraphina's hair, his voice condescendingly gentle. Be a good fiancé now. After that day, my life gradually returned to an even keel. Until 6 months later, when a call came from a wedding planner. Hello, is this Mr. Ethan? Your wedding with Miss Jiang is approaching. When would you be available to discuss the wedding arrangements? I blinked, momentarily disoriented. I'm sorry, but the wedding is canceled. Thank you for your time. We regret to hear that, Mr. Ethan. Please note that the deposit is non-refundable. Understood. Hanging up, it struck me that I hadn't heard anything about Seraphina in months. During lunch break, my colleagues were buzzing about the wedding of some wealthy heiress. I leaned in to listen. Rich people are on a different plane of existence. Fireworks costing tens of thousands were going off all night. And that helicopter, circling all day, showering money from the sky. Yeah, I heard they closed down roads in the new district, just to make way for the heiress to leave her house smoothly. Wow, what luck! What's the heiress's name? I'm thinking of changing mine, hoping to get some of that good fortune. I think it's Isabel Jiang. Isn't it Seraphina Jiang? My sudden interjection startled them. It startled me too. Mr. Ethan, you're interested in this kind of gossip too? Look, there are photos here. A colleague handed me her phone. The groom was indeed Julian, but the bride was not Seraphina. Seraphina hadn't succeeded after all. A wave of melancholy washed over me. The world was indeed unpredictable. But then, I shook my head. What did it matter to me anymore? After work, I drove home as usual, only to find an unwelcome figure blocking my way at the entrance to my apartment complex. Seraphina stood in front of my car, red-eyed, refusing to let me pass. Cars were piling up behind me, horns honking impatiently. Exasperated, I had no choice but to let Seraphina into the car. In the underground garage, I got out, intending to go upstairs. Seraphina followed silently, a shadow clinging to my heels. The elevator doors opened and closed several times. I stood motionless, Finally, Seraphina couldn't contain herself. Why aren't you going? Why aren't you going? I retorted, mirroring her question. Seraphina looked up at me, her eyes pleading, hesitant. Ethan, can you take me home? The elevator doors opened again. I stepped inside, slamming the close button before Seraphina could enter, leaving her with a silent, decisive lip reading of no. I had barely closed my apartment door when a foot wedged itself in the gap. Seraphina, panting, face flushed, had clearly run up the stairs. Ethan, don't close the door. I was trying to close the door, but it was physically impossible. Seraphina squeezed through the narrow opening, throwing herself into my arms, clinging to my waist with desperate strength. Ethan, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Let's get back together, please. Seraphina gazed up at me, her eyes brimming with tears, her voice a desperate plea. She rose onto her toes, attempting to kiss me. I dodged her once, twice, 3 times, but she was relentless. Finally, my patience snapped. With a surge of anger, I shoved her away. Seraphina. My voice trembled, laced with a mixture of anger and weariness. What exactly do you want from me? She slumped against the wall, covering her face with her hands, soft sobs escaping her lips. Ethan, I regret it. I shouldn't have left you. Only now do I realize how much I love you. Ethan, I can't live without you. Please forgive me, please. In the past, I couldn't bear to see Seraphina shed a single tear. A pout of her lips would send me into a panic. But now, even as she stood there, weeping, begging, I felt nothing, not a flicker of sympathy, no pang of heartache. Only a cynical voice in my head, wondering what new game she was playing. Seraphina, have you heard the story of the boy who cried wolf? You think you can deceive me again and again, and I'll still believe your words? Seraphina slid down the wall, crouching on the floor, looking up at me, tears streaming down her face, a faint, unsettling smile playing on her lips. Ethan, do you remember? Back then, we were just this tall. She gestured to a point just above her head, then continued. Back then, you said you'd marry me when we grew up. Ethan, are you going to break your promise? I sighed a weary sound. My voice was calm, devoid of emotion. You broke your promise first. No, I didn't. Seraphina suddenly became agitated, her voice rising. I didn't. I had it all planned out. I'd go back to the Jiang family, then get engaged to Julian. That way, Father would give me control of the company. Once I had everything, I could be with you. Ethan, I thought everything through. It's you who didn't trust me. I shook my head, a slow, pitying movement. But you never considered me. And Seraphina, it's not that I didn't trust you. It's that you were too arrogant. The Jiang family raised Isabel for 20 years, pouring top-tier resources into nurturing her. Her ability and cunning are far beyond yours. What made you think you could win against Isabel, just because of blood ties? Seraphina, the adult world isn't about feelings, it's about profit. The value you, the biological daughter, bring to the Jiang family is far less than Isabel, the adopted daughter. So, your defeat was inevitable. Seraphina was silent for a long time, just staring at me with a venomous glare. Ethan, are you looking down on me? I gave a helpless smile. Seraphina was beyond reason, trapped in her own self-made delusion. She refused to leave my apartment. Left with no other choice, I called the Jiang family. To my surprise, Isabel Jiang herself arrived. To be honest, Isabel was the complete opposite of how Seraphina had described her. Hello, I'm here to pick up my sister. I apologize for the trouble. Isabel attempted to help Seraphina up from the floor, but Seraphina violently shoved her away. Don't touch me. Who's your sister? I don't need your fake concern. Seraphina huddled closer to me, pointing at Isabel, screaming, Get out! Get out! Isabel looked at me, a silent plea for help. I shrugged helplessly. She sighed, a sound of resignation, and spoke slowly, deliberately. Seraphina, I never wanted to compete with you. Seraphina scoffed. Easy for the winner to say. Isabel ignored the barb, continuing, If you hadn't insisted on marrying Julian, I wouldn't have returned from abroad so soon. Whether you believe me or not, all I ever wanted was to return what was rightfully yours. As for why I competed with you for Julian. Isabel paused, her gaze flickering towards me. Seraphina, I heard you and Ethan are childhood sweethearts, is that right? Julian and I are too. Seraphina froze, stunned into silence. After a long silence, she croaked to Isabel, "You can go back now. I still have some things to say to Ethan." After Isabel left, Seraphina hauled herself up from the floor, smoothing her clothes, fidgeting with her hair. She was trying to mask the panic churning within her with these small, meaningless gestures. "Ethan, was I really wrong? I just wanted to make myself better, but I think I've messed everything up. I even lost you." Seraphina slumped out of my apartment, her head bowed. I didn't try to stop her. Later, I often wondered if I had managed to save that extra $8,000 back then, would things have turned out differently? But there were no ifs. A hair's breadth difference, a moment missed, could change a lifetime. I am Seraphina Jiang. For as long as I can remember, I've always followed Ethan around. Wherever he went, he took me with him. The villagers all joked that I was going to be his little wife. Later, it was Ethan chasing after me, saying I was the boss. Wherever I pointed, he'd charge. After graduating college, I felt lost. A country bumpkin girl, lost in this city of towering skyscrapers, directionless. One night, Ethan and I were eating barbecue at a roadside stall. We overheard the owner bragging about buying 2 apartments, in cash. A seed of ambition sprouted in my heart. Ethan, sensing my thoughts, quit his job without hesitation and started his own roadside stall. I wanted to join him, but he refused. He said street vending was too hard, always looking disheveled, working day and night. He couldn't bear to see me suffer. Helpless, I had to find another job. Ethan and I both worked hard. Over the years, his roadside stall blossomed into a barbecue restaurant. Our savings grew, inching closer to the down payment for our own place. But then, everything changed abruptly. I became a millionaire's daughter. What was once unattainable was now within reach. I lost control. I wanted more. Ethan loved me so much, he would understand, wouldn't he? But things spiraled out of my control. I overestimated myself, pushed forward, step by step, until there was no turning back. Sometimes, I wonder, if I had known contentment then, if I had stopped when I was ahead, things wouldn't have become such a disaster. Or maybe, if before the Jiang family found me, Ethan and I had already married, had our own home, maybe I wouldn't have been so eager to return. But there are no ifs. One wrong step, and my life was irrevocably altered.